Welcome to Our Future is Kind, a podcast exploring how we build the future we want to live in, one kind act at a time. I'm your host, Michael Neese, president of Our Future is Kind, and your companion in conversations about kindness, leadership, connection, and courage. Each week, I sit down with thoughtful leaders, creators, and bridge builders to explore what a healthier, more humane future could look like, and the choices it takes to build it. These are honest conversations about purpose, culture, curiosity, and what it really means to show up for one another at work, in our communities, and in everyday life. Along the way, we'll unearth practical ideas, small but meaningful acts, and questions worth sitting with, because building what's next is a choice. So let's dive in. Susan Jarema is a marketing strategist, founder of New Earth Marketing, and co-founder of The Grand Connection, helping entrepreneurs grow through collaboration, partnerships, and aligned visibility. Susan, welcome to the program.
Lovely to be here, Michael. I've been an avid listener, and I'm so excited to be on here finally.
Yay. All right. Well, Our Future is Kind is so happy to have you. And I just introduced you to my lovely audience, but I would love for you to tell us what makes you, you.
Well, I guess I grew up in friendly Manitoba. If anybody knows Winnipeg Jets from Winnipeg long ago, and friendly Manitoba, definitely people say you're really friendly. So that serves well with running a community because sometimes in some business, it's hard because you have to set boundaries and maybe you give too much, right? But in our community, it's come across well, and everybody loves to be friendly. And of course, we're all working towards how do we serve each other? And that is fares well in community. So grew up in Winnipeg. I'm used to the snow. I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I've had many a business. I've been partners in many a business. I know entrepreneurship better than anything else in my world. I love it. And I'm at a place now in my life where I want to give back. And it's a really nice place to be in. You're not pushing so much, and you can just be open to what possibilities come. So it's exciting.
Well, I'm so glad to have you here. I definitely feel like you are on brand for this program. Our Future is Kind is all about community. It's all about serving others. And I know that is where I met you. I can't even remember who introduced us. Do you remember? I don't really know, but I know that they told me, Grand Connection is this wonderful business incubator almost, where you can get great information from other people about how to run your, fledgling business in speaking. So tell us a little bit about Grand Connection, where you and I collaborate sometimes.
Just to step back, I know I was introduced to you because you were an amazing speaker. So I remember the context. I don't remember who it was. So if you're listening, thank you very much, because we met an amazing speaker. Michael's spoken many times on our stage, and our members have learned a lot from you too. How to be a better speaker, and how to, of course, look at kindness in their workplace too. So, I think the question next was on the Grand Connection. Grand Connection is a COVID baby, like many of a COVID baby. I've always had this marketing agency, New Earth Marketing. Well, not always, but I've had it for almost 20 years now. So it's been a long time. The world of marketing has definitely changed throughout. And it was the launch of COVID. It was March 15th, 2020. If you can remember the time, you could not get hand sanitizer. There was no toilet paper to be found. You remember that? Yeah.
Yeah,
it was a very weird time, and you didn't know where things were going. And I happened to be in Arizona at the time. I'm from Canada. And I was down there, and I was reintroduced to a good old friend, not old in age, but old in time, through a mutual connection, again, networking, right? And we had a call on the phone, and I was down there, and she said, you know what? I've never been to Sedona. I should come. And that was Carolyn Cooper, who you've met as well, right?
Yeah.
And we ended up down there. COVID hit while she was in the air. Everything got closed. The conference we were going to go to ended up being canceled. And we ended up going to the Grand Canyon. So there's the word grand coming in. And, we were walking around hiking. Think it's beautiful there, and there was no one there hardly, because COVID had just started and people were nervous, but we had nothing else to do. We don't have flights back till later. We couldn't change them. We were just going to enjoy the moment. And we did a lot of hiking. We experienced nature. We talked a lot about how our clients are going to navigate this world that was changing in front of them and said, let's start a community. So that's where it was born, at the Grand Canyon. So that's why everything's grand around here. We were born at the Grand Canyon, and we continue to make grand connections.
And these grand connections include not just speakers like myself, but also authors and podcasters. Can you just give us a brief sketch of who else is in this group?
Well, I say anyone that's a heart-centered entrepreneur who values collaboration. So we have a wide range of types of businesses. We tend to have a lot of coaches, a lot of consultants, a lot of fractionals, authors, podcasters, people who run summits, people who write, have book series out, thought leaders, and people who want to make an impact in the world. And there's some other fringe businesses that are really cool and exciting, and they get to learn from the coaches in the group too. And we all learn from each other. Software providers too, that have a lot of cool tools that we can use to make our business more productive and make connections easier to make using the tools. So those are part of the community. The main thing is our underlying value of grand giving. Like, people in the community really have a generous spirit, and they love to connect. They love building relationships, and they know that they're investing in relationships that will last for their lifetime.
And I have learned so much by being part of this community. When I was trying to get my podcast off the ground, I went to the podcasting group and saw a couple of presentations that were really, really helpful. When I've had questions about AI, I know that you've had great speakers talking about AI and their experience and their technical expertise that they're very generously sharing with everybody in the group. And, you almost hear the gasps and the light bulbs going off as these presentations are going on. So,
and I'm learning all the time from our community. I just got many ahas at the last AI group about security and how to make sure your data is not being used by other people. Like, we had a whole series on that. So I have an MBA, so I learned way more at the Grand Connection than I learned in my MBA. Sorry, my professors, if you happen to be listening. But I think that learning from each other who are in business, and the experts that are part of the community, they, like yourself, you are a leadership coach. And consultant. You work with big companies. You know a lot, and we get to learn from you.
Well, and it's so much fun sharing the knowledge and hearing the great questions and getting people excited about possibilities and opportunities. Speaking of which, we should just reveal to everybody who's listening in right now, you and we are constructing with 23 other people this great book that follows the name of my business, Our Future is Kind. And I can't be any more excited to have you in this book, because you represent this wave of entrepreneurs who are trying to figure out, how do we build a better world? How do we go into the future, and not necessarily fearlessly, but with some level of confidence? Tell me about, your idea of what you're thinking of putting into the book. What kind of secrets and treasures are you thinking? And don't give it all away, but
right,
just maybe
I'll tell you a little story, Michael. Or ask you a question here. Have you Adam Grant's book, Give and Take? Have you taken a look?
I've heard of it. I have not.
Well, he did some research on givers and takers and another group called matchers. And which type of person do you think is the least successful?
The takers. I don't know.
It's the givers.
Really?
And which type is the most successful?
The takers, I guess.
It is also the givers. So when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, because we have all givers in our community. What is it that makes givers successful? And there's some that are not and some that are. So some are falling on the bottom because they don't have the right strategies and they don't have the right boundaries around it. And they become doormats or whatever. Like, you don't want to be a doormat, right? And I've gone through this in my life many a times too. And other listeners here may have been through this, where you've given too much and you want to kind your future. You want to give, you want to be of service, but then it comes to that point where it's sacrificing for yourself. Right. And you know the story, put the oxygen mask on first. We all, it's not a story. They tell us every time we're on a plane.
Right.
But you need to be healthy. As a mom, I needed to be healthy and taking care of myself so I could be there for my kids.
Right.
And, and I've been through the hamster wheel. I've been through a divorce, and all of these things in my life. I've had a near-death experience where I was on life support and everyone thought I was going to be gone. These things happened and they made a big change in my life on how you change your perspective and the challenges you go through. And you need to take care of yourself, and you need to have that proper strategy in how you're working in the world. And I want to share that and my strategies for that. Strategies for success of being a successful giver is what my chapter will be about. Grand giving, of course, is our main philosophy here at the Grand Connection. Will be connected to that.
Well, grand giving is absolutely something I believe in as well. And having been through my own divorce and having been through some hard times in the last year or so in particular, I'm really glad to hear that you're going to be revealing some secrets about how we can all be more successful. So I can't wait to read your chapter in that book. And just for anybody listening in, that book is coming out November 17th. So be looking for that before American Thanksgiving. In 2026, yeah. And so for those of you who are looking for great gifts to get on Black Friday during those sales in November, it'll be here easily in time for that. And and I'm also very excited to let everybody know we have quite a few other co-authors who are jumping into this book. So there are going to be at least 25 different treasures that you're going to be able to pull away from this book. Susan's treasure. I'm looking forward to seeing that one in particular. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about kindness. That's a big piece of this show. You've already alluded to the fact that sometimes people can give away too much. They can have this kind and giving heart. How do you see kindness, and how do you make sure that it doesn't also equate to being a doormat?
Well, I guess being kind to yourself is very important as part of your formula.
Yeah.
You need to have the strength so that you can be of service to others. And that's also in, having a abundant business, a business that generates income, having value for the services you offer. You don't want to give it all away. You want to give away what you need to. I have scholarships at the Grand Connection. There's some people out of Africa that have come in with wonderful charities and they can't afford the membership, and I give them a scholarship. We raise money for some of them too. But you need to still have a business. You need to pay your bills. You need to support your kids. You need to take care of yourself. I need to have a gym membership. I need these things in my life so that I can be of service to other people. And I need to get good sleep. I mean, that is one thing I'm actually always working on. We have a wellness group at the Grand Connection, and we often have conversations about, what are the things you're working on in your wellness plan? Because that's a plan in your life too. It's important that we take care of ourselves.
I'm glad that you bring that up, because I think a lot of us are checklist types, right? I've got to get through my checklist. I've got to do this and that and the other thing. And then when people say, well, are you taking care of yourself? Are you eating healthy vegetables? Are you going to the gym? Are you getting enough sleep? We all tend to have this, I'll get to that when I can, if I can. I'm not that important. And so I'm really, really glad that you're bringing it up as, so everybody listening in, Susan just gave you all permission to take care of yourselves and to see yourselves
as. And I didn't do this initially. Like, I did have that scare where I run myself down. Like, my kids were young. I was recently divorced. I was trying to figure out how to make a business work. I was exhausted. I got sick, and I let that happen and watch for it, right? Have people around you that, hey, you should get some sleep. Figure out how to do things in a more efficient way. I love productivity. So you can get to this point of, how the productivity tools and being organized and, managing your time. And I'm going to be doing a podcast with you, and I'm going to be asking you a little bit about this stuff. But, doing these things, you can only take it so far.
Right.
There's only so many hours in a day.
Right.
You can leverage some of your time. You can get more automations, you can get more AI tools and all these things in place, but there's still only so many hours a day. And how are you going to live your life, and what do you want to prioritize?
That brings to mind a favorite book of mine, 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals. And it's by Oliver Burkeman. And if you get the audio version of it, by the way, he has this delightful British accent. It is wonderful. And he brings so much humor and great style to the reading. But what I love about the book is it sounds like a time management book, and it's not. It is all about the philosophy of what it means to be a human with a finite life, and where should we be spending our time. So are you familiar all with that?
I listened to it. Yes, I love it. It was a very good book. I'm going to listen again, actually. It's a great one for when you're out exercising. I am good at the multitasking on the things that you can layer easily. Exercise and audiobooks go well together.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm glad that you brought up, like,
Yeah.
how are you spending your time? And it's okay to have a certain limited number of hours in the day and not get everything done.
And I guess we're all working on ourselves not to feel guilty and how to be okay with that, right? If you don't get everything on the to-do list done today, be okay with it. Maybe make that list a little smaller. I actually always had a few things on my list that I've already done. Just for fun. I can tick it off first thing in the morning. That's already done. I don't know. It just feels good.
Yeah. Well, you have to at least, if you made the bed, you should get credit for it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And there's a big speech on that about making your bed as being one of the factors of success.
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar. That's such a good talk. And I loved his speaking style, but wonderful. Well, let me ask you, you do New Earth as well. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because we've talked about Grand Connection. What is New Earth? What's this New Earth marketing that you do?
Well, that's my marketing agency. I've been doing that for a long time. Before I started off doing, this is my divorce happened as, what am I going to do? Oh, I had been producing some music for kids that taught kids math through music. It was very fun. My kids got, they knew their times tables when they were 3. It was amazing.
So cool. Yeah.
So I did that and I had a bunch of CDs out, which the world changed very fast for the whole CD business. So they stopped selling. And I'm like, what am I going to do? It's not making enough money. I can't support my kids on this. And I started doing websites for the musicians I knew. So that's what my first little thing. So then I just started, I started working in Drupal. That was, I decided Drupal was going to be the winner, but WordPress won. So I did have to shift over to WordPress later on.
Sure.
But I started off with Drupal sites, a lot of content management systems, database stuff. And I moved into doing that. I had a programming company, outsourced programmers offshore. And that was what New Earth Marketing became. And my 2 degrees are in marketing. So I do have marketing degrees. I understand marketing. I've lived the world of marketing. I started doing, graphic design with Letraset back in the day. So that's how long I've been in this space. And New Earth Marketing is just kind of growing, followed the path of marketing, like SEO. I was very big into SEO. Content writing, article marketing, then blogging, that all went through all that progression. And then, of course, the social media sites started coming out. And how do you start getting out there? And then Hootsuite, they're from my city. I knew them when they were babies.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
So how to schedule those social posts. And then, we just, grew from there. And now, we're doing automations. CRM automations. We're doing AI automations now. It's changed a lot.
Wow. It sounds like a fascinating journey. You've probably had to learn so much. Where do you turn to learn more? Are you going online or?
The Grand Connection. That's where I learn everything. Oh my gosh. I just bring in amazing speakers. The members, I get them to share their things. We do podcast interviews. They put their content in my magazine. It's just Grand Connection really is marketing. So it's a visibility platform for people, but we do it through collaboration. So,
wonderful.
And that's always how I've seen things win through my marketing agency too. We did a lot of paid ads. We've tried everything, but the clients who did the best were the ones who had the strategic alliances, the JV partnerships, and found a way to get that reoccurring consistent revenue through partnerships.
Love. So it's all about collaboration, partnerships.
Everything. So everything in my career has been collaborations, and my own agency, I was pretty small. My main customers came from referral partners. I played around with the ads. I'm always tracking everything because that's what you do in marketing. You learn how to track things. And, the return on investment of Google ads was terrible. And I know many a person listening here, if you're, make sure you're tracking that stuff.
Yeah. Otherwise you're throwing away money.
You may be paying $1,000 a month. And I make many of people that come in there and I go, okay, let's get this tracked. We start saying, and they realize zero is coming from that.
Wow. Yeah.
And they're paying for it.
Yeah. It's very interesting. We had an event last year, a partner and myself, the Human Summit. And what we found was that ads, that wasn't the way to get it done. It was the people who were part of the advisory board who were very invested in seeing it be successful. It was the one-on-one outreach. It was them reaching out to their networks and talking about, how great this was. And it was those collaborations, those word of mouth chains that really got the attendance that we got. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would put my money on that versus ads, paid ads, for sure.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me. All right. Well, Susan, we have a regular part of the show. We do this thought experiment, and I'm wondering, are you game to go with me into the future a little bit?
Yeah. You told me what the question was going to be ahead. So I thought about it all last night, and oh my gosh, I could hardly sleep.
Okay. Well, good. I'm expecting this amazing, elegant answer then.
No, really. No. But anyways, okay, go.
I'm sure it'll be great. Yeah. So for those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, what we do is we talk about the future by saying, Susan and I are going into a time machine, and as I'm guiding the machine toward 100 years in the future, we're just about to land in 2126. I'm telling Susan, hey, we did all the right things, all the best things. And so when we open up the doors, it's going to be the best possible future. And so, Susan, when we step out of the time machine, what are you looking for to find out if I told you the truth?
Okay, well, I was thinking about this again on the lift this morning, and I'm an avid downhill skier. I love it. And we have had some very good powder this week, but most of the season was really bad. And my husband actually said to me, he said, wouldn't it be nice if we could have powder every day? So one thing I'd love to have is that powder every day. But then I said to him, if we had it every day, we wouldn't appreciate this day so much.
Yeah.
So I was thinking a lot about this because I made up my list of, the perfect world, right? But you still want some challenges. You still want some obstacles in life because that's part of the human experience.
Yeah.
So you don't want to make it too easy, right? Like I don't want to say, oh, well, we just want to be a beach. Life's a beach, right?
Right.
Because I think back of the things that were really tough in my life, and those are what made me grow as a person.
Right.
And for my children too, like there's challenges that they face that's making them stronger in their characters. So I toned it down a little bit, but I don't want so much war. I want it to be a more peaceful place. Yeah. I want freer energy, and I want more, equality for people. Like I think that you don't want to have it where there's billionaires and there's people who don't have food. But you still want to have some challenges for people that they can feel like, oh, I can work towards something. So somewhere in between, right? And my corner of the world is about collaboration. So I see this as a place where people value collaboration over competition. You're not doing things for greed and power, but you're doing these things for mutual gain and the playfulness of it and the fun of it all. A place where business for entrepreneurs is just a lot of fun. It's a game. Kind of like playing Monopoly, you're just having fun with it, and that you are all working together. There's more innovation, there's creativities. Like I love open source. That's why when we got into, WordPress and Drupal, they were open source software. Everybody was learning from each other and they're building on the platform. And more of that in the world some of it is here now too. Like, people can go in and use, there's tons of open source software. The AI tools are so economical that you can come in there and do amazing things that no one could have done, 10 years ago even.
Right.
So more of this availability, Wi-Fi everywhere, everywhere. So we can all get online, but a safer world. I am frustrated with the amount of hacking that goes on in my business. Like that's what we spend a lot of time with malware prevention. So a full world where, you're not worried about cybercrime. You're not worried about crime in general. You don't have to lock your doors. And people are working together to help each other. Community.
I'm not at all surprised that community would work its way into all of your answer. And I love that, because I always think about how we are lucky to be in this vast universe and to experience the playfulness, the music, the food, the dance, all of the different things. But we're even luckier to have each other as company. That's always the thing that I am most grateful for. Every morning I wake up, I am thinking about my loved ones. I'm thinking about my dear, dear friends. I'm thinking about the collaborators. I'm thinking about the people who've helped me and whom I can help as well. And so I'm really glad that is a substantial part of your answer. But now here's the tag along question. Here's the $1 million question. I told you while we were in the time machine, we did all the right things to make that future. Susan Jarema, what are all those right things?
Oh, you didn't tell me about this one. Okay.
What do we do? How do we build it?
Listen to our Future is Kind podcast and get your book. That's a starting point for everybody. I mean, I guess looking at people, not about differences, but how we're connected is really powerful. And to appreciate the differences versus finding them so much that they separate people. So that would be changing a culture. And I guess it's just more and more people doing that, I think will really help. I don't want to get into politics, so we'll leave out politics on your podcast, but voting for good leaders is a good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to vote for leaders who are in it for us,
Yeah.
not in it for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece of it. So that's wonderful. All right. Well, everybody who's taking notes furiously, don't worry about it. You can re-listen, and you can also look in our show notes because we'll have some of these answers in there as well. But Susan, tell me, what are the things that you are working on? I mean, I know that you and I are collaborating on this book, Our Future is Kind, that's coming out in November. What are the other big things that you're working on right now?
Well, we're expanding our Grand Connection ecosystem all the time. We're looking at bringing in some barter currencies that we can do some trades with that might make things a little easier for people who are just getting started and have a tighter budget, so they can trade with each other. We do a lot of service swaps already, but this might allow you to work with someone who doesn't have what you need, but with barter dollars, you can do a lot more. We have a lot more new groups coming up. There's going to be a money group. That's exciting. Our self-mastery program, the Neuroscience of Connection, is powerful. We're running the first round of it right now. We have a second intake coming out. We will have ongoing ones, but it has become a very popular and very fulfilling course for people to take. It's all about understanding your brain, and by having that understanding of the brain networks and how you can do network switching to be able to optimize your performance, and having that meta awareness, it helps you become more self-aware and you to respond better in the world. And of course, communicate with others better. So that's very exciting for me. And I'm part of it, so I love it. I'm learning more, and I'm becoming, more aware of my own things that I need to work on and how to communicate in a better way. And I'm communicating with my children better.
Oh, well, hey, that right there sells it. I mean, not always a guarantee that family members are always on the same page with each other. So,
yep.
Hallelujah for that.
Even
That's
that
great.
aunt that drives you crazy, right?
That's right. That's right. So if people want to get into your orbit, if they want to join Grand Connection, if they want to partner with you in some way, where do they find you? How do they get in touch?
Well, you could go to grandconnection.ca. There's a little button in the bottom right-hand corner called Guest Pass. Just grab that. You can come in as a guest pass. You'll obviously have something probably in the show notes too. And you can come to 3 events as a guest. So come and experience it. Check it out. It's just a fun community. You're going to meet wonderful people like Michael here. And of course, many of the other thought leaders in the community where you can connect, create, and collaborate.
That's wonderful. All right. Well, Susan, don't be surprised if you get a flood of people knocking on your door, getting those guest passes. But thank you again, Susan Jarema, for joining Our Future is Kind.
Thank you for having me.
This episode's Kindness Challenge. Giving without strategy leads to burnout. This week, before saying yes to a request for your time or expertise, pause and ask, does this serve us both? Practice one act of grand giving, generous, intentional, and sustainable. Want to stay inspired so you can stay kind? Susan stays inspired by layering learning into movement, pairing audiobooks with exercise so neither feels like a chore. Try cueing an audiobook specifically for walks, gym sessions, or any movement you already do daily. Revisit a book that shifted your thinking before. Susan recommends 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman for a fresh perspective on time and priorities. You've been listening to Our Future is Kind podcast, where building what's next is a choice. Make your next choice a good one and help build the future we want to live in.